Ahoy there, I'm TinyPirate. Welcome to my tutorial series for Planetbase. I've been playing for a little while and I thought I'd share with you some thoughts and tips and tricks that I've picked up myself and have had shown to me by very attentive viewers. Thank you, very attentive viewers out there. You know who you are. So, first of all, you hopefully at this point completed the tutorial and you can get stuck in, as I'm going to do now, in choosing the Class D world here. So let's have a look at this thing. I'm just going to choose a random bit around here and I'm going to give this a name. You can pretty much choose wherever you like. Tutorial land. I've never seen the location matter in any way whatsoever. And then we get started and we wait. So here we go. Down comes the drop pod with all of our resources and our starting colonists. And you're eager to get started, but before you do, you need to do something. First of all, obviously, you need to wait. And second thing you need to do is, well, you got to wait for this animation bit to finish. The second thing you need to do is have a look around. And you got to be fairly quick about it because you don't have that much time before your colonists are going to start running out of oxygen. They didn't bring much with them, apparently. You're going to have to get making it. So I'm going to start whizzing around here and having a squiz. How much room do I have to play with? Okay, so I've got a bit of a gap over there to build to. And I can build over here. That's where we're going to try and build towards for this particular map. So before we build, we need to get a couple of things down and we need to think about how we're going to do it. So the first thing is I've been figuring out how to basically be starting with an optimal kind of start. And I'm going to show you guys that. So what I'm going to do first of all is put down a collector. And hopefully you've seen how to do that in the tutorial. It's the pad here. It's the power collector, and I've used mouse wheel to build the largest one. And that large one is going to be very helpful for us. The second thing I want to do is throw down a solar panel. And I've gone through and calculated costs on these things, so I'm expecting these to be pretty optimal kind of starting options. And I'm going to put it right about here. And what you'll notice is that when you move to place stuff, they kind of snap in. That's going to be important later on. Connect it up. Get to work. Third thing I'm going to do is I am going to click on this colony ship and reset it. Recycle it with that recycle button. And I'm going to press Alt so I can flip over and have a look at the current resources available. You start in the desert planet with 50 of the metal, 40 of the bioplastic, and then some spares and med packs. Later planets give you less, and you need to be even more careful about managing your resources, because managing your resources in this is vital. Okay, we need to get the next item down, and so I'm going to go for a water extractor, and again this is going to be medium. I'm going to place it over here. Not too worried right now. What I'm particularly going to be thinking of is where I place my airlock, because my airlock dictates kind of where my landing pad needs to be and where my mine needs to be. I kind of think I want to put my airlock over here and start building up the valley, whereas power and what have you is going to build this way down the valley. We'll see how that goes. So we need to get on and get an airlock down. This might be slightly backwards from how other people do things. That's okay, they can do things this way, but I find this means that when you do finally get your O2 tent up, so I've gone for a normal sized airlock and a normal sized oxygen construction thing. These are all things that should have been covered in the tutorial, but what you haven't covered is perhaps building the large power collector, medium solar power, and the large, well, medium's the largest you get, water extractor. Those are quite vital. And you need to get onto it fairly quickly because otherwise, yeah, everyone runs out of oxygen and dies, which is a bit depressing. So when you're building, when you're starting a game, here we go, that's up. The thing to think about is the, first of all, the resources and which ones you need to get sort of completed and ready for your crew in what order. Oxygen is the most important, and that's already producing oxygen for us thanks to water and power being ready. Come on. Alright, you're all going to wait for that constructor robot. Fine. And up goes the tent. Good. Oxygen goes up. Brilliant. So water is the second most important after oxygen. And for that, we're going to need a canteen. And I'm just going to slap that down over here. Default size will be fine. connected up. After the canteen, the next thing to worry about is going to be food. So for food, what you want to build, are you guys going to go inside and get water? Are you going to go and get air? Yes, you are. You do have the option. So put down your materials and get on with it. So the next thing to think about is food. So I am being a bit quick. We'll revisit some of these thoughts in a second. So we're going to go for a biodome. And I'm going to go for a largish, medium-sized one. The small one only lets you place a very small number of pads. The medium one lets you place 3 times as many pads. That's vegetable producing pads. That's quite cheap for a difference of just 3 metal and plastic. Now, when this is being placed, what you'll notice is you get these 2 lines, and you think you can just place it anywhere and guaranteed to get the option of having 2 connections, because 2 connections between items, between domes, gives you obviously a little bit more efficiency, because people can move around your base easier. But it isn't the case that you can just slap them down like this and have a 2-way connection going on. The easiest way I find is to move, when you got 2, move it towards the center, and you'll see it kind of snaps and my mouse is moving but the dome isn't. Bam, that's 2. And I'm not going to double connect it. I could add one here, but I'm not going to. Resources are too precious right now for me to do that. So I've specified to build a medium dome. And I'm going to come in here and specify some very simple things. 1 small set of chairs and tables. 1 single fountain. 1 meal maker. And 1 television to keep them happy. I'm going to try and put it where I don't plan to put another gateway. That should do the trick. And with luck, I'm going to press tab to turn off the domes. Okay, what are you guys looking for? You're all looking for water. Well, as soon as this is done, water will be available to you. So a couple of keys to think about while this is happening is F2, which pulls up your stats. Currently, we're not a very great colony at all. And we have 3 workers, 2 biologists, 1 engineer, 1 medic, and no guards. And we have 2 bots. We have 1 carrier bot, 1 constructor bot, which is great. And we have a bunch of resources, so that's fine. F4 gives us control over our power grid, which we don't have to worry about right at the second. Okay, the water is up, so they will be able to start drinking. Next thing after the water up and the food concerns, which we're going to start worrying about once these produced, is these guys will all need sleep. As you can see, they've all got Z's. When their status is yellow over their heads, they're usually okay to work. As soon as it goes orange, they basically stop working. So I'm going to put in a single dome, a dorm. I'm going to try and just hang it relatively close. That looks ideal. I don't intend to build over there. Right off the oxygen tent seems ideal. And I have just gone for a normal sized dorm. I'm not gone for a big one yet. Okay, come on, ladies and gentlemen. Still got plenty of resources, so that's okay. Right. I'm going to leave them just to get that dorm up. They need to sleep. I'm going to speed up with plus. Let's speed up on plus and minus. Speed up and slow down. You should have figured out the keys already. You can use Wizard for move left and right on the camera, forward and back. Middle mouse wheel will let you, if you press it down, will let you sway the camera. So will Q and E, so that's all fine. You guys are all waiting to have a nap, aren't you? But thankfully, the dorm will be up shortly. And then we will be able to have a look at that. Okay. So the dorm is a dead-end building. You can tell that from the little T that appears when it is built, and in the build menu as well. Pretty sure it's there too, if I find it. Yeah, you can see as you mouse over there that there's a T indicating that it's a dead end. You can only have 1 connection to it. Clicking into it, I'm not going to place too many beds. And shift will let you place multiple. 1, and I'm holding down shift, you see, 2. Okay, and I'm placing them quite tight because I want to try and fill as many as I can in here. Okay. While they are going to go off and do that, get themselves something to sleep in, we'll start building our food. So I'm going to go for a combination of tomato, which is fast growing and produces lots of food. A wheat, which is starchy and slow growing. And I think I will put down 1 medicinal pad as well. Start producing the materials we need for our med packs, which are vital in this game. And then let's have a look at the maker. So the maker here, if you question mark over it, will tell you sort of recipes. So you want to have recipes with the most stuff in it. 3-4 ingredients is great. So I can have a look here at various things. Pasta, salad, pasta. So tomatoes, onions, and potatoes is salad. Salad, salad, salad. You want things with meat. So lettuce, tomatoes, and chicken is salad. We'll worry about that later. Tomatoes, pasta, potatoes, and chicken is salad. So I think I want to put potatoes in as well. And we'll see how that goes. You don't want to overwork your biologists who are going to have to maintain and repair these. Okay, everyone's having a little sleep there, so that's good. How are we doing on resources? Fine. So let me slow things down. The next thing we want to build is probably going to be our mine. So that's an outdoors building. And because I've thought about it in advance, I get to place it fairly close to my entrance, which is good. If it ever appears again. Can we get it a bit? Come on. You do find yourself... that'll do. Connect it. Good. So the mine is going to produce the basic resources we want to make metal out of stuff. And the biodome, of course, produces starch and food. Potatoes produce 1 starch and 2 food. Wheat produces 1 starch, 2 food. Tomatoes produce 3 food. Okay, gentlemen and ladies, you're very tired. The beds are going to come free soon. Don't you worry, pal. So one of the things you'll have noticed is that I still have lots of power overnight, and keeping power overnight when your solar panels are obviously not getting any power is quite important. You can, of course, go and build your wonderful wind collectors, which are very, very helpful, and you will want to mix power between wind and solar. But I find that right at the start of the game, solar is extremely reliable. You get a whole day, and you can see the day-night cycle when you press Alt. You can see that we've got a long night cycle and a long day cycle. You can see that tick along, and during the day, the solar panel here will charge that right up to full. It'll take a little bit more expansion before we run the risk of draining that totally overnight. So that's quite good. In fact, before we run the risk of draining that completely overnight and having power shortages, I'll probably get a small windmill up just to kind of add a bit to the buffer. So collectors provide a wonderful sort of buffer to your system. So how are we doing? Okay, everybody's getting asleep. That is good. Major sort of problems with their food are now addressed, except we need to get on to a very important piece of equipment, which is the lab. So I'm going to put the lab somewhere where I don't have to worry about connecting it to other things. Over here looks ideal. It's not a dead-end building, and it's not the sick bay. So the sick bay is a little different. The lab, I've got a small one gone up there, and I'm going to use that to produce meat. And the meat is very helpful to ensure that our colonists get a variety of food, because they can't just live on plant goods alone. So right now, this meal maker inside the cafeteria is turning vegetables into meals. So that's a basic meal, because we're basically just giving them tomatoes. And if they don't get a variety of foods, they will suffer from malnutrition. And that's when you see sort of a fork icon over the top, and that is extremely bad for them. So I'm going to put in 1 tissue synthesizer for now. And that is a very helpful device which will produce a little bit of meat for them and increase their food variety. I'm not going to worry about putting in a medpack workbench just yet, because it will take time away from other endeavors, and I'd rather my crew keep busy with other things. So by default, it's going to produce chicken. We've got chicken, we've got tomatoes, we've got wheat, so that should be enough to produce, in due course, a more complex meals. So again, potatoes in here, basic meals. We need that meal variety to increase, and the only way we'll do that is by producing, vitro meat. And that will keep away the dreaded fork. Malnutrition can only be cured by a medpack, as is all the kind of orange conditions in the game, pretty much. So you do want to be careful of that. So, the game produces a kind of very tightrope walking sort of feel. You need to not only worry about keeping everyone from starving to death, and so the balance of colonists that you bring in is quite important, but also not overproducing too much of one thing at the detriment of other things. Bringing in too many colonists too quickly can be problematic. Yeah, there's a lot to think about. It's pretty clever. I really like it for that reason. So the next thing is, we're not going to worry about a sickbay just yet, although I do expect we will see people injured fairly soon. No one just yet? No. We're going to instead produce the processing plant. And by my calculations, we can create or use a... let me have a look here. We can best deploy a small one of these. And as you can see, I can actually get a three-way connection if I wanted to. I'm going to be quite happy with it to be two-way from here. Will I be able to connect it later on if I want to? Yeah, I can. Not going to now because it'll be a bit too resource intensive. So let's get that processor up. That's going to turn our raw minerals and our starch, which you can see here in the menus, ore and starch. They're going to turn them into metals and bioplastic, which is going to be vital. From here, we're almost at a kind of sustainable future for ourselves. Couple more things need to be produced. So that's good. Now, one of the things you should know is that the stats along here showing you stock includes everything that sits on a pad somewhere, everything that sits inside a machine here. So as you can see, it says we've got 10 meals. Well, there's 4 of them sitting inside this machine right now waiting to be eaten. So when you see a whole bunch of resources available, don't fool yourself into thinking that that is in any way indicative of actually freely available resources. They could all be piled up on some pad somewhere, and yeah, you'll be in for a nasty surprise. Okay, look, we got our first individual with a break. I can see there he's not very happy with himself. He probably won't do much until he gets fixed. It's a good time to put in a sick bay. And that is a really handy place to put it, right there. Wow, I'm really liking this current kind of environment here. It's really conducive to a tidy base. I really like tidy, efficient bases. So while they're doing that, let's think about the processing plant. It needs to have you process stuff. So we're running a little low on metal. So what I want to worry most about is maybe 2 metal producer thingamybobbies. And we'll go for... yeah, I think we'll just leave that at that for now. We're not in a vital rush to get bioplastic, but metal is going to be a problem. So we'll let them get on with that and think about the next challenges. So we're just about at a kind of sustainable setting to grow. We have meat being produced, which is awesome. Not yet produced any to chuck in here by the looks of it. Basic meals. We have a dormitory. Water is up. If I press F4, I can see the oxygen, no problem there. We have other materials going just fine. Now would be a good point, perhaps, to put in a few trees. Now, trees are free. They just require someone to come along and give them a tick. They will produce oxygen for you. I wouldn't rely on them. Let me have a look. Have we seen any evidence of that? 26, you see? So we've gone up 2 for each tree, and that should drop a little bit overnight. If you absolutely end up in an emergency and need... whoa, we got that down. Need oxygen. Throw up some trees in a biodome. They don't need anything. I think just one bed will be fine. They don't need anything in terms of resources to make. Your people like looking at them, which keeps them cheered up as well, which is important. And yeah, they're nice to fill out space. And in time, you can just delete them. So resources are being turned into goods for us, which is great. Now we need to think about our sort of sustainable future here. So, okay, he's going off to wait for that bed to come in. Good. Let's put down our landing pad and get our first visitors to come. So I'm going to keep that again close to the entrance. Early on, you don't have to worry about the potential for invaders, people coming to try and smash your base. Later on, you do. And later on, you're likely to want to move your airlocks and your landing pads such that you control access to them and make sure they come through certain bottlenecks with security guards and what have you. But early on in the game, don't have to worry about that. So just throw them down, willy-nilly. Good. Now you people get building. How's it doing? Bed has been built here. Landing pad is going up. And after this landing pad goes up, there's one more vital building we need to put up, and that's going to be the factory, and we'll talk about why we need that. Okay, so we have a landing pad up. We can put in some landing permissions. And that's from this menu here again. So if you haven't already seen it, the stats menu, landing permissions. And I can see that I've got this arrangement of workers that I request. The current percent ratios are here. When you twiddle with these, what you do is change the likelihood of different workers arriving. And the colonists will try and end up balancing out to the percentages that you've specified. As you can see, they're pretty close. If you absolutely vitally need someone right now of a certain type, then obviously you can smash that all the way up to 100%. The next colonist ship that arrives should be those people. And then you can reset it back to kind of the current ratios if you wish with a reset button. For now, I'm just going to push the biologist up to 40%, which gives you just a little bit more leeway. Sandstorm. Sandstorm can be very bad for your people if they're outside. So I'm going to turn off that airlock by clicking on it and turning it off. Anything in the game can be turned off, modules included. So I could turn off this processor, for example, to maybe save power or to stop them using it. Turn it on with a tick. So the final thing for us to build is going to be a factory, in this tutorial anyway. And that I'm going to make sure it's connected thusly. Yep, it's going to work. And it's just going to be a small one as well. So this build order I've found is very reliable. You don't end up running out of resources. You have everything you need to see your goods and your people fixed and working and healthy and living and growing and all that kind of stuff. And you're very prepared then for sort of the mid-game. So let's just speed things up. Now this guy isn't being healed up because, okay, you're trying to get in. I'm going to turn on the power for you. You want to come in? Nope, you're off. You're off to grab stuff. Never mind. And you're wounded as well. All that sand flying around hurt you, eh? Never mind. No Mark Watney problems here on this planet. But they do get a bit injured. So one of them I think has gone and grabbed a med pack. We'll probably heal this chap up shortly. Here we go. Patch him up. Come on. And then that work will be back to work, which is great. What's happened? Oh, well, another thing to point out is your robots will eventually get broken, like this one here. And they will get repaired. But over time, they will degrade till eventually they totally stop working. But that is quite a far away at this point. So don't worry about it too much. Know that your engineers will go out and fix them. They don't even use repair kits to do so. They just go around and give them a smash with their hammer. Fix them all up. Okay, Dome is coming up. And we're out of power. Good time. So as you can see, we've just hit dawn. Power will come. If I was worried about losing power totally, I can disable power to everything but the most vital systems, which will be the airlocks and the O2 production. But that's okay. I can just enable that all now. This is coming up. Let's throw down another piece of equipment. So how much resources do we have? Not very many. I'm going to throw down... Actually, I might just leave that for now. And let's look at the factory here. So the most vital thing that you really need to worry about is the spares workshop. And I'm going to put one of them down for now. When you run out of spares, nothing gets fixed, and everything does wear out over time, especially your sort of power generation stuff. And if things don't get fixed, well, yeah, it's pretty bad. Everything goes wrong for you, and you'll have a very bad time of it. And pretty soon everything goes dead, because you won't be able to provide power to your base. Everyone will run out of oxygen. It does use metal and bioplastic. For now, I'm going to disable it because I don't want to waste it. And the last task we're going to do, but I know that I've got it, so I can turn it on when we do have a need for spares. 10 is plenty of a buffer for now. The thing I want to do right now is throw on a medium windmill, and I'm going to put it there, and I'm going to connect it this way. And one of the issues I do think it's important to worry about is sort of diversity of connection. A single connection back to your base of, say, all your power systems will be problematic if a meteorite hits it. You'll lose all your power and things might go a bit wrong for you. Now, what have we got here? A trading ship. Early on, you're not likely to be able to trade for much, but I might grab a bit of plastic. Oh, biometal, sorry. I'm okay on plastic, and I've got some leaf. So what else can I give them? Maybe another bioplasticky thing. Yeah, one metal would be quite nice at this point. So you can trade for your needed goods as they come in. not a bad idea generally to do a little bit of trading. Okay, and that really is everything you need to know to get a basic start and a really solid and reliable start in Planetbase on the Mars-like planet. Up goes our windmill. Brilliant. How much are we producing now? Just have a quick look at power. Good. So that should keep you going into the early game. No problem. No issues here. And our first set of colonists arrive. Who are they? Biologists. Great. Green biologists. Good. So I hope you've enjoyed this little tutorial. In the next episode, we might have a look at what it takes to go beyond the very basics into the mid-game, where the challenges lie, and the kind of balancing act you need to do well at it. Until then, I've been TinyPirate. Thanks for watching.